I used to swear by my father's oath. To protect the wards is to protect our people. And if it claims our lives, what's one life lost for the sake of the many?
And now, what do you swear by today?
The only one that matters is my brother. And I will kill the people who took him from me.
Pestilence must be purged.
Your father was right about one thing. The wards are breaking. And should we fail, it may spell another end.
Well, classic. It's not a proper Mystic Art stream unless I start muted, right? That was the announcement trailer for Echoes of the End, a narrative-driven action-adventure game that I've been developing along with a team of people at Myrkur Games for the last 7 years, I think, maybe more. And I figured I'd go live right now and talk to you folks about it and ask or answer some questions and then ask questions of my fellow co-host. But before we get to that, welcome to Mystic Arts. My name is Daði. I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for over 10 years. And I'd like to introduce my co-host for this evening, Magnus. Whoa, did it work?
Oh, I don't know. We're on delay, so I can't see yet.
I think we can hear you. Well, you know, it's not a proper Mystic Arts stream unless we start off with audio problems.
Let's see. The chat is going to catch up in just a little while. They'll let us know.
So everybody say hi to Magnus. This is Magnus Fredrik Gurnason. You and I have been working together now for a long time. We've been doing this for, did I say 7 years? Is that correct?
It was 7 years. It was 2018, April 2018 specifically, that you started working at Myrkur.
And you'd been there for how long at that point?
Just under a year. So it is closing in on 8 years at the company for me now in August, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. It has been an absolute marathon, but a good one of that. Hey, everybody.
This company, this started with 3 lads, none of which are you and I, and they started to make a video game company. They wanted to do like VR or something to begin with, but ultimately
they were doing VR tech solutions. So the company started with VR body tech. So the whole idea was to use the Microsoft Kinect to create a body in VR, and it was cool. Just the market for VR never took off. So they
sort of pivoted over to and they immediately started like a like a action adventure game. It was like sort of more zone based, and then since then have been trending in the direction of the game we've ended up with today.
I mean, it's been evolving constantly over the years. Like we talk about working on this for nearly 10 years, but you and I know we've only been working on this game for 4 years, maybe.
Yeah. Even that is a generous estimate. Like if we're being honest with the process, because it sort of is, the first section is just us trying to build a company and build the pipelines, and then building the demos, and then scaling up the company. So it's only the sort of last 3 or 4 years that's been this particular game.
Getting something that people were willing to put money in betting on.
Yeah. It's a whole sort of startup process that I don't know how much people are familiar with, but it kind of becomes this, break things and move fast and try different things. And we're constantly like changing and redesigning and redeveloping and then pivoting and throwing out and then doing it all over again. So it's been a long road to get to here.
And man, the relief to finally just have something announced, be able to properly talk about something.
Yeah.
It's not technically our first ever announcement. We did announce the game back in 2021.
Yeah, on Summer Game Fest in 2021.
Yeah.
And we were a part of the Prime Matter slate back then, which is not the name of the publishing label anymore. It's back to being Deep Silver. They sort of they flirted with various things in the interim. And then
no, I'm happy. Deep Silver is cool to. Yeah, it's cool to be published by Deep Silver, man.
That's great. Yeah, it's so many awesome titles there as well. And then we'll, on this channel, people have been asking like what I do for a living, and I've been wanting, knowing that this trailer was right around the corner, I've been wanting to keep it under wraps, even though I technically could have said earlier that this was the name of the game. I just it would have said people looking for a several-year-old announcement thing, and I was like, if I just wait a little bit, they'll be able to see what I'm actually working on, which is the trailer there.
But that announcement went so well.
Let's not get into it. And since then, I wanted to finish this introduction by saying, and since then, we've been doing a lot of stuff together, and whenever there's anything on the Patreon, on the Mystic Arts Patreon, it's you and me designing it together. And that's the firearm rules in the class. The Warlord is really your baby more than it is mine. And the last few adventures were largely my outlines, and then you sort of did the lion's share of the work getting it written. Because we've been collaborating ever since, like for ages. We've been playing D&D this whole time as well.
Yes, really, that's what our friendship and collaboration is based around.
Yeah. And anybody who's been in streams before, I'm assuming, has seen this legendary Magnus, like chat calls him, moderating in chat. But I figured I'd just start reading questions out loud.
Yeah, let's do it.
Runar Westman asks if we can talk a bit about the music and the sound design of the game. So one of my players is the audio director on this game. It's also the lead composer. I say lead composer. I don't know. We just have the one composer, but
we just have the one composer. Yes, we have a 2-person sound team. He's exclusively the composer, though. So.
Yeah, and there's a tertiary friend as well who does like audio mixing.
Yes,
who's done a little bit of that for us.
And there's a few interesting things also related that we probably cannot talk about at all, but it's fun to tease about. Yeah, really, it's fun. We should have gotten Victor here instead, because he could talk a lot more about that. But
I'm sure he'll do his own Q&A at some point at the Myrkur channel. I've promised him now.
We'll do one on our Twitch channel where we occasionally stream us playing dating sims. That's
Oh yeah, because you and him are working on a dating sim, and AB, you're all working on a dating video game dating sim. Thumbs up from AB in the background.
Absolutely. We should because we can talk a bit about the music and sound design. We don't really have expertise to talk about it, but I can say that I remember the moment when we got the application from him.
Yeah.
Like music for video games, it's so core to the experience. It's such a God, it's so elevating. I think video game soundtracks as a genre are huge on Spotify.
Yeah, especially if you're like a DM and you're on Spotify using music, you're probably using video game music, just because, it flows better in that sort of way.
And Sharon just pointed out in the chat actually that there is an old vlog on our YouTube channel where Victor talks about his composing process.
I'll go pull that up while you yap a bit.
Yeah.
You gotta yap.
Good that Lindfors just said he uses the stream where we made a map to develop Icelandic accents.
Man, that's mean. I normally think that our accents are I normally think we pass okay.
Yeah, well, jeez. All right, should we...
Yeah, what's next? Hang on. Dramatic face reveal, that's right.
Yeah. With your start in VR representation, how much of the game is animated versus motion captured? Well, that's your field.
We built our own motion capture studio, and one of the first things that we did as a company, and one of the first sort of bits of investment we ever did, is building our own studio. And the reason we did that, there are many ways to not do it. First off, you can do hand animation. You can outsource mocap studio things. If you're gonna send, go to an expert studio and avoid having to figure all that stuff out yourself. But we didn't, and the reason is that we wanted to be able to quickly develop changes to the methodology. So if we were making animation sets or whatever. Now I'm not the gameplay animator, but I'm speaking on their behalf right now. But if there is an animation combo or a boss swing or whatever it is, they wanted the option to be able to capture them quickly and fairly easily, and then test them, and then be able to go do another lap on it. So that whole process, we built our own studio so that we could do it as a small team, because we're like, video games of this look and style are typically made by much bigger teams than our own. We're only 40 people. So we really wanted to try and make sure that we could build a way to make it a little bit easier for us. And that's where we get into photogrammetry, which we have a vlog on the Myrkur channel for as well. A new one where we scan a glacier, which I think we're the first people in the world to do. I don't know. I'm just going to post links to vlogs in the chat.
I think, no, Scat, I like the way we did it, I'm pretty sure. I think Dice did a bit of photogrammetry for, like, ice caves and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But this thing, like, the way we did it with the drone, just capturing the flow of the glacier, I'm pretty sure we're the first, at least for a video game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Looks fantastic in game, too.
It does. Absolutely does.
Sharon asks, your wife is in chat asking questions, but she's asking how we got our jobs.
Well, you know what? Maybe that shows some sort of a lack of belief that we could have achieved something like this.
How did these two guys get anywhere in this field? Well, in my defense, Magnus hired me, so...
I did, it's true. So really, I'm to blame in both cases.
Yeah. Your story is more interesting.
I got my job through D&D. Like, I knew Daði, one of the founders, through DMing for him for years. So when they were starting to make a game, they'd given up on the VR stuff. They hosted like a crowdsourced creativity meetup, what they called it, where it was like, we want to make a game, we want it to be an action RPG, and here are some creative people we know. And I, compared to everyone else that attended that, I cheated. I did homework beforehand. I prepped, and I showed up with a presentation. So obviously I won.
You won the creativity meetup. That's such a you thing. You're like, haha.
Well, no. So here's the thing, though. This is I'm being unfair. Mm-hmm. And there is a really fun coincidence here.
There is, yeah.
Which is that sitting behind you, a person you didn't meet until years later, is AB, who was there at that meetup.
You and AB have known each other longer than me and AB.
Yeah, years longer.
That is very funny. The man with
but-
green. Oh, sorry. Hang on. Go on.
No, you go right ahead. I was
about to segue on.
Oh yeah, go on.
Okay. The man with green socks asks, how is writing for a game different from writing a script for something like a movie or a novel? The main thing is, if you're writing a script, you're often alone. You're often sort of in a vacuum. You write a script, and then you have a script, and then you try and get someone to make the script. And the same with a novel. You write a novel, and then you try and get a publisher for the novel. Writing for a game, as a writer on a video game, you are often, in many instances, you are the last person that has to be involved in something. First they got to make sure, is it fun? Does it like spatially make sense? Does it, is there logic to the game design? Is there, all of these things? And then after they've answered all those questions, they might come to the writer and go, hey, can you make the lore here make sense? Can you answer the logical reasons for this?
Yeah.
Now, it's not true for the whole game. That's not true for, story elements and stuff.
It's a first we're the first stop and the last stop, kind of.
Yeah.
Because we need to lay the groundwork. We need to make sure there is a consistent base and groundwork to build from. And then we need to be adaptive. And when someone shows up and says, hey, this character you wrote in here, we don't have the production budget to make this character, so they have to go.
Yeah.
Or someone says this environment is we can't make a whole different environment for this part of the game, so it has to happen in the same environment as that chapter before instead. Or sometimes it's the exact reverse, where you just wrote something that happened in a forest, and then someone walks up to you and goes, so we scanned the glacier. Can we pop it in there somewhere? Can you think of a reason for them to go onto a glacier?
Yeah, and you've got these.
It's cool.
You've got also these little chunks of dialogue that sometimes you have to take them and swap them or move them around. There's a lot of adapting, and you've even got like a story from beat A to beat B. Like we've got 2 cutscenes, for instance. We know they can't move; they have to be where they are. But in between there are all these story beats, and sometimes you have to shuffle them around. Sometimes it turns out that you just have this long section of gameplay where it's not very fun because there isn't a lot going on or whatever, and then the game designers or the level designers or somebody comes along, the playtesters, and it turns out that we need to change things, and that's usually when you have to do a lot of sort of backflips and you have to move stuff back and forth.
I will also say one of the biggest differences, I think, that I don't know how many people are aware of, but it's sort of industry standard to write video games in spreadsheets.
Yeah.
We don't like we do the cinematic scripts in Final Draft.
Yeah.
But for gameplay dialogue, for almost everything else, it's done in spreadsheets because you need to have the line ID, the speaker, the context, the status of implementation. And it gets to the point that if we had it anywhere else, it would just be so much repeat work that even on set, we just have the actors reading from a spreadsheet.
Yeah, when we're doing voiceover days, which were the sort of last days that we filmed, they often didn't have a chance to take a look at a lot of stuff. So they'd sometimes show up, and we just have the TV screen in front of them, and they'll see the spreadsheet in front of them, and we might talk about what the scene is, where does it happen, in between what cutscenes. The cutscenes we film way earlier, and then they read the spreadsheet, and we do that until we're happy.
Yeah, because it's literally like we do. Oh, what was our pace? It was about like 100 lines an hour.
In voiceover, yeah.
Yeah, 100 lines an hour. So like, and the actors trying to read that and remember that beforehand, it would be insane.
Yeah, it's not.
That's just not the way that's done.
Not feasible at all, and it's also important. Like there are studios out there that have the luxury of doing things at a much slower pace, and we really had this kind of mandate that we needed to make a game that was more ambitious than our expertise or experience, right? Or our budget. Like we're small and we're trying to do a lot with little. So a lot of times we had to do insane amounts of like crazy work to try and get the scope of this thing the way we wanted, because we wanted to tell this sort of epic fantasy story.
Yeah. Ace is in chat saying spreadsheets the love of my life. That's our narrative tech designer. The spreadsheets are his life's work at the company. So
Ace is if we wanted a full representation of the narrative team at work, then Ace would have had to be in video with us, but he'll join us in chat. That's fun. Hey Grant, how you doing? Sorry, if you're chatting in chat, Mikey is up to date, but I'm a little bit further back looking at questions. Carl Makes Stuff. Hi Carl, how you doing? Is writing for video games different than writing for tabletop? Well, you don't do a lot of dialogue in tabletop. Like a lot of writing for tabletop is design, whereas a lot of video game writing, a lot of it is trying to make sure these characters are fun and funny. There's a lot of trying to get people to laugh with your spreadsheet writing, for instance.
There's a similarity in terms of like objective design.
Right. Yeah.
Like not in terms of writing the narrative as it is consumer facing, but rather as it is like us facing. Like in prep, you'll write for yourself, or when you're writing an adventure, you'll write for the DM to be to interpret. And I'd say in many ways that's pretty similar to like the old narrative overviews we do at much earlier stages of the project.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a similarity there because it has similar beats, similar requirements. It needs to be fun. It needs to tick both the narrative satisfaction part of your brain, but also the part of your brain that goes, "Ooh, I found a new item. I found a shiny
toy." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of there's also a lot of just trying to make sure that things are understandable at all times, in terms of working collaboratively. And somebody was asking about that earlier, like you're talking about those narrative overviews, like the writing exists in a nebulous form, and it has to get more and more granular the further into the project you go. But even the nebulous form, you have to have a goal, you have to have like a tentpole, like in this chapter of the game we need to start here and we need to go to this end boss at a certain point or whatever it is. And we have to hit, certain beats along the way, but in between there, the player can do whatever they want. Like, those things are very similar, yeah. That's Birna making fun of our accents.
Yeah,
taking
he
it
tried
personally.
to make up for it a bit later.
I see. How similar is a game designer and dungeon master? They're basically the same thing. A dungeon master just has an immediate group of players that are going to show up in a few days. And
yeah, he also has to perform. A game designer can get away with not being a performer.
Yeah. You got to put on a bit of a show as a DM.
Yeah.
Grant's asking, are you all moving on to another game soon? Have you... Oh, these are several questions. Let's do one at a time. Are we moving on to...
Yeah, those are several questions indeed. Oh my god.
Are we moving on to another game soon? We got to finish this one first. We're not done. But we're creative people, and we're always looking for new things to do. You're already... you and AB and Victor are already talking about a musical dating sim.
Yeah.
One day I dreamed to make a Doctor Who video game. That's something I've always wanted to do. Well, I say always wanted to do. That's something I've been wanting to do for a couple of years now. But at the moment, our goal is to get this game out the door this summer.
Yes.
How have you changed as a person since you began Myrkur Games? Wow. I think it's fair to say for both of us, it completely turned our lives around.
Yeah, I mean, I was 23 when I started there, and you were 20. You were 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I was right out of film school.
Yeah. So it's been, for both of us, a majority of our adult lives at this point. I'm married since,
Yeah.
That's completely different.
I've lost like 100 kilos since. If you go to find some of those old videos, there's old footage of me, I look completely different.
Yeah.
It's also when I really became a dungeon master. Like I'd been doing D&D before then, but D&D was then just one of my hobbies, along with being a director. But then when I became a director as a job, when you make your hobby your job, you need another hobby, and I decided, okay, well, I'm going to go full crazy into this D&D thing, and luckily we eventually got paid out of there, so I was able to buy D&D stuff. spend my money on D&D stuff.
You just hadn't found the right player, you know.
Yeah.
Notice the singular.
That's you, right?
The singular was important there. Yeah.
No, like you say that, but out of my current playgroup in my main campaign, 4 or 5 people at some point worked at that company.
Yeah. It's true.
So I think it's fair to say that this game and this project has shaped my 20s, like entirely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you have expectations about how the game will be received? Magnus is more pessimistic than I am, but that's just by nature, I think.
I'm the archetypical suffering artist type. I think it's a good game. I don't question that. But it is, fact is, the video game market is like big.
Yeah.
We've been absolutely thrilled with the reception the trailer got on Saturday.
Yeah,
Just
that was fantastic.
Incredibly happy about it. And I think if that echoes at all into how the game is received on release, we're gonna be beyond happy.
Yeah.
This is a AA game. It's releasing with AA expectations, and it's releasing, at a AA price tag. And we're gonna be thrilled if people enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. There are more grant questions.
Curious,
yeah, that's great. Somebody's got to keep this going. What are the most challenging aspects of creating the game in the last 8 years? So there was a point that we'd gotten to a point, and I talked about this in an Icelandic podcast. So I don't know, maybe I don't think any of you folks might have seen it, but some of you might have. Where we sort of focused too much on the world and the world building and these kinds of things, and we made a game that was just massive in terms of character count and ambition, and it was way beyond our scope. And there was an absolutely devastating time where we had to go back to basics and figure out what is the core of our story, Rin and Abram, right? The hero and the sidekick, and how do we center the entire game around that idea, and what can we do to serve that story? And in the end, that meant that we had to cut 12 or 14 characters, and many of those had been cast, and there were actors who were going to play them, and they'd been supporting us through, we didn't know if we were going to be able to pay them when they first came in and talked to us, and they'd been very supportive for the whole process. And that was brutal. That was absolutely devastating. I think, in the end, the game is better than would have been otherwise, with us being able to scope down on the essentials of the story. And if you're a DN, you've done this. You've absolutely been in a situation where you spent all your time prepping the Pickling Guild, and then you remember that the Pickling Guild does not show up tonight, and you need to make a dungeon or whatever it is, right? And but that was savage. And just in that sort of regard, like, it's a job. It's easy to think of as this sort of perfect everything, and it is. It's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing to get to do this for a living. But on occasion, it was tough. Did you ever have moments where you thought the game wouldn't come out? Yeah, persistently. Like a few hours ago, probably. No, every now and again you sit there and you're like, how are we gonna do this? And I think you kind of need to have that. If you're not constantly questioning whether or not you're going to be able to
I'd say, like, we got funding, and since then it's felt pretty certain.
Yeah.
But before that point, it was we were, instead of living paycheck to paycheck, we were living, grant to grant. Jokes about who asked the question aside. But we were getting grants. We had some investors, but it was mostly that's called the FFF round, the Friends, Family, and Fools round.
That's right. Yeah. Where we tricked some people.
We were lucky to have good friends, loving families, and enormous fools to, who believed in the project and threw their backing behind us at that early stage. We joke about it, but we didn't get paid for a long time, and that was part of the arrangement. We understood that. We went in there saying, that's not what I want. We kept a small team. We were all young. Like I said, you were 20, I was 23. We could live with our parents at that time. Well, you didn't, but
no, I had the tiniest little room in a downtown apartment that was dreadful. No, but we were. You're the first non-nepo hire. We sometimes joke. Iceland's tiny. Everyone knows everybody. You were the first person that joined that nobody knew beforehand. That's true. Yeah,
I reach out and I'm just sitting there going, "Come on, we gotta hire this guy. Come on, you guys."
Do you see? He went to a film school. He knows about the 180 rule.
It's crazy. You should see how he formats the scripts.
He's got the software and everything.
Yeah, you're sending me these goddamn final draft files, and I'm opening them in fucking
Google Docs.
Drive or such,
yeah. Carl says that motion capture workflow must have been a lot of coordination with the actors. Yeah. When we're doing like boss animations and stuff like that, that's our animators going in. We typically don't get actors in for that. We tried it for a bit. We trained Aldis with a sword for some weeks and all that kind of stuff. It turned out that it was more important that our animators were able to be the kinds of nerds who would go play the game and test it. And they would test it thousands of times before they went back to the studio and tried another go.
Yep.
It
was unreasonable expectations to have an actor do that, just in terms of the amount of reshoots and repeats and tiny little changes they would do.
Yeah, we got in, I think it was like on the 4th or 5th time we got Aldis in to go walk and strafe and back up. We'd done that 3 or 4 times, and we were like, let's never do that again. She is starting to doubt that we know what we're doing. Let's just keep messing around with it and see if we can figure it out. But if we're on like when we're doing scene work, we've got the actors in there, and they've got these cameras like just in front of their nose, looking up their nose, flatteringly enough, and they've got lights on them and microphones and everything like that, and that's a lot of coordination. And when you're on a film set, if you have a technical failure, the camera or the lights or something is broken, the tech guys all huddle around the equipment and fix it. If you're in a mocap studio, the equipment is on the actor. So they might be in a dramatic scene. They might be thinking about, death or being unloved by their parents or something dramatic. And then something goes out, a light goes out. And now we have to have a bunch of people poking and prodding at the equipment they're wearing. And they're trying to maintain focus on their dramatic intention. And then we all go mess around, and then we're like, okay, do it again. And, oh, God. That could be very tough.
Yeah.
Jan asks, photogrammetry to capture a white thing is pretty difficult. Any tips you'd like to share? I never really did much of the photogrammetry myself, so I don't know too much about it. But I know that the weather is really important, because Yoe says so in the video.
We are blessed to have some really talented artists working at the company. Daði and I love to act like we know exactly what they're doing, but honestly, it's sorcery to us.
Yeah. I know these things only well enough to explain them to my mom. That's sort of the standard.
Absolutely.
I understand that they had to do it on a cloudy day so that it wouldn't shine too much, because otherwise all the data is broken. And the glacier is right next to some like black sands and stuff like that, so it's got a little bit of like dirt on it, natural dirt and grime, and I think that helped as well.
That makes sense.
I'm guessing. Can you do a rundown on the team? There's 40 of them, but it's myself as I should have said at the beginning. I'm one of the writers, and I'm the performance director. So it's my job to talk to the actors, and I do cinematography in post. So I put in the cameras and the lights and the cutscenes. Not alone. I get a whole bunch of help from the environment team. And then Magnus, you're the lead writer on the game.
Yeah.
And then Victor, our one of our players, is the audio designer.
Like we can talk in general terms that it's probably about 40% artists, 40% programmers, by which there I'm including level designers and like combat design and etc. So it's like 40% art, 40% systems, and then 20% is the rest.
Yeah. Clerical, executive, production.
Yeah, and there's a lot of detail I'm glossing over because like level design kind of exists as a bridge between environments and systems, so I could technically toss them in either category.
And I wouldn't call Victor a programmer, but he does have to program the music. Like he does exactly. Literally have to build functions for it.
So it's I'd say out of like it is a 39-person like full day job team, and I think out of those there's only 4 people that don't work in engine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
So, and even they like wind up doing most of our in-house like QA and testing and stuff is just the one of the founders, the COO, just sitting down and playing the game.
Yeah,
because that was the key idea, right? Make a game we want to play.
Yeah, and one of the producers has been doing dressing as well, because she's really talented at that. So like, there's a lot of crossover. People wearing a lot of hats. There's a lot of just sort of trying to figure things out.
Absolutely.
Runar Westman asks, developing the story, dialogue, events, and things was a collaborative effort. Yeah. How did the actors and devs contribute? Was there a read-through beforehand? Like there's a... there was like a D&D session. Kind of, yeah. We on a few occasions invited the actors in to just sort of read the script.
This also does go a bit way back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you should tell that story.
Before you started, we DM'd, or I DM'd like an ancient history moment. For at that point it was a team of 7 people, and we got one of our friends to join us as well. So I had 8 players playing through this bit of ancient history just to do some world building stuff, which was a lot of fun.
And there's still references to that in game, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we did read-throughs. We get the actors in, and like from very early on, we also wanted to make sure that Kalle and Altis especially were able to help form their characters. Altis was very involved in all that. She would, without hesitation, would tell us if we were wrong about what Rin was doing.
Yes,
she was very clear about that. But that's kind of the joy of getting an actor to be this involved in the project, is that she gets to do that, and she gets to help write parts of it or whatever it is, like gets to actively contribute.
Oh, she's been with us as long as you have. Like you had a connection to her and basically brought her into the project the same month you started.
Yeah, I'd been a producer on an indie film that never released. Hasn't to this day. But she was amazing in it, and we were doing an open casting call. We were literally listening to anyone speak, and she, like, I suggested her just because I thought she was fantastic, and she came in and crushed it. And I remember Halldór, the CEO and game director, and 80s, the lead animator, locking eyes there after she'd barely started talking, and there was this silent understanding that, oh, okay, we're done. Like, that was it.
Yep. No, absolutely. There was no question.
Yeah. So fantastic. She came in and was just so, like, she was that character from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then we had to go change things a bit so that she really, like, so that we also came and met her, right? And that's the same with when we get Kalle in. We knew we wanted this this sort of surrogate father figure character. And once you cast someone like him, like, people in chat might not know, but that guy is a national treasure in Iceland. He's a fantastic comedian, and does there's like this Icelandic show called Spaukstofan, which is kind of like SNL on a shoestring budget, written by, like, basically.
I feel like it's more apt to say like Monty Python. Like,
yeah, he's a Python.
It's genuinely like getting John Cleese in our game. Like, it is incredible for us.
Absolute, like, the geekery going on with the Icelandic team members whenever he shows up is fantastic. And once you get somebody like that, and you're like, okay, can we make sure to give him good material to play with and highlight his skill set, and that's where the magic happens, really.
Yeah. The devs as well, he asked about, and I kind of wanted to touch on, because we were talking about this a bit earlier, but yeah, there is a lot of not grand story stuff that comes in from individual dev moments, but all sorts of suggestions that just come from design of, again, what's fun, what are we playing, and in playing, if you realize there's some ability that is just super fun, you bring it up, you bring it in, and the story evolves to adapt for it, and that is one of the joys, frankly.
Same with DMing, right? If you end the session and you discover, man, that thing that I didn't think was important sure did make everyone happy. See if you can't work it into being a little bit more involved in the story going forward, or whatever it is you're doing, because the players are going to have more fun that way, and you're ultimately there to serve them. And it's the same if you're in a video game. You're like, oh, this mechanic is awesome. Well, let's put it in the cutscenes. Let's, we had a lot of fun trying to make sure that whatever the character could do in gameplay, she could also do in the cutscenes.
Yes.
J.R. Hawks asks, is this game going to be Dark Souls challenging or Stardew challenging? Out of those two, it's closer to Dark Souls, but it's not a Souls-like. It's nothing like that. But there are a couple of sort of like elements that I think are a little in that direction. There's a boss that is in the trailer that is very reminiscent of, like, some kind of Souls boss character.
Yeah.
But on a challenge level, I think it's more like Uncharted or something like that.
I put it more on terms of God of War.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, the challenging difficulty is tough. It is genuinely difficult. The boss fights in particular have been kicking some people's, like, ass real bad.
There'll be a story mode that we'll make sure that for the Stardew players, they should be able to play if they want to. But
this is true. Look, I'll be honest. I'm a story mode Andy myself. So
yeah. But I know the I don't know what it's called. The highest difficulty one we have is really challenging.
I think.
So if you're looking for a challenge, you could set it to the highest difficulty, and you will have a lot of fun, I think.
You did hop over a question from Grant.
Did I?
Yes, right below Runar Westmans. Is there a lead writer? How does it work when what they envision narratively doesn't align with other aspects of the project?
Oh yeah, Magnus is the lead writer.
Yeah, and it kind of ties back into the same thing we're talking about, right? With we have to marry the gameplay, the level design, everything has to sort of come together and get into one stew. And
sometimes
we also mentioned how we have to Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Sometimes people just have to like sit down and we have to talk. Like there are definitely moments where we're just not on the same page. So we gotta go figure it out.
Yeah. I think the best way to think about it genuinely is that there is the narrative team has to establish a base layer of expectation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a company as small as we are, if we lock down that base layer too hard, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because the main thing we can do, the big advantage we have being a team of only 40 people, is that we can make turns that aren't too costly. We can suddenly go, you know what? This idea is brilliant. Let's see what we can do with this idea. Because it's not we don't have to lay a whole new set of railroads. We're laying the railroads ahead of us as we go, right?
Yeah.
So we have to set a layer of expectation, and then sometimes that layer has to change, but usually we can set that layer generally enough that it is, rather than the job of level design, of enemy design, of character design, to come in and add layers on top of that, and then for us in narrative to come out back into it at the end and tie the knots together and make sure it's all done up tidy.
Yeah. It's a dance, right? There's a bit of the first step and the back and the it's this waltz, like.
Absolutely.
And it only like it takes two people to dance, but it only takes one person to step on somebody's toes. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, I do.
Hang on. Grant asks. Grant's. Thank you for keeping us talking. Dungeon Master still design games. Hang on, this isn't the question. Haha, skipping Grant. Thank you, Scott.
Oh.
Welcome to the show, Zero. Hjalt is asking whether you're my favorite player, huh? Listen.
I'm sorry he had to find out this way.
We missed Gunnar saying goodbye. Goodbye, Gunnar. If you watch the VOD, goodbye. Thanks for joining us. If it isn't too much asking, how did the weight loss happen? I underwent surgery. It was getting to a point where I just needed to pull the brakes hard and get some help. And it was one of the ones where they like staple your stomach together and do a bunch of crap, and then they give you a list of things you're not allowed to do anymore. And couldn't have been happier. That thing saved my life and probably added about 20 years to the back of it. So Zero, yeah, welcome. Jason, is this on Nintendo? No, it's going to be on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox, and it'll be released this summer. That's also answering Crowag. You might think, hang on, it's summer already. You are correct. What kind of qualifications do you suggest someone gets for applying to work on a narrative team on a game studio?
Remember to read
hang
Zero's
on.
question.
Zero, yeah. Any details you could share about world building that you love? One of the first things we did was invent currency. I don't think we mentioned it once in the game, but we invented it.
No, I don't think we do either.
That's another DM advice right there. You don't need some of this stuff.
There is
there a journal entry?
There might be one journal entry, yeah.
That's fun. That's worth that those 2 days of work we charged the company for inventing the currency system, right?
No. That was before we were getting paid.
Oh yeah, fair. Okay. At that point, who could say, you know? Share about world building.
just to be perfectly clear, the reason we're having a difficult time is because we're trying to dance around what we're allowed to talk about yet.
Yeah.
The trailer is out, but there isn't that much. Like, you don't have that much detail yet, and we're not allowed to stray far beyond that.
Only if it's been in marketing material up until now, then we could talk about it.
Yeah. I like the magic system. I'm not gonna describe it too much. I put a lot of thought into the world's magic system, and I am happy with how that came out. Not much of an answer, but it is something I do love.
I think it's sort of indicative of world building that you usually also, I don't mean you, but I mean like world builders usually get obsessed into the nitty gritty weeds of something that oftentimes either doesn't matter, you don't need to go that much into, but you do it because it's fun and you do it because it helps you believe in the world. And I do insane amounts of world building that sometimes nobody ever knows about. But the fact that I know it means that I can sell it with a bit of confidence. And that's often what it's all about. When an actor in the studio is like, why am I saying this instead of that? And sometimes the answer they need to hear is, well, Magnus did a bunch of thought on this, and here's what he was thinking. And you can outline it, and they go, wow, all right, yeah, cool. Like,
yeah.
But sometimes it's essential. Sometimes it's what separates one product from another, one art from another.
Yeah. All right. Now you have the
endless loop
question. Yeah.
What kind of qualifications do you suggest someone gets for applying to work in a narrative team? Listen, you're asking two people whose qualifications were limited, but so was the studio.
Yeah.
The studio was small and new and fresh, and it needed help, and we were able to help. And if you're willing to go and work at a startup for no money and take a huge risk, that is one way that you can do it. And I think if you're going to be someone who's doing narrative for video games, you have to kind of be there from the ground up, and have to kind of be there at the start and be willing to lead and try a bunch of stuff and do all kinds of things.
The other way I would go, if you I would go find an engine, whether it's Unreal, whether it's Unity, whether it's Twine, and just make a story. And that unfortunately involves learning a bunch of things that aren't just story writing. Twine is probably the most accessible of these. Ideally, it is whatever engine or something similar to whatever engine the company you're applying to work with uses. Because I can tell you, if we were hiring and someone could show us they had Unreal Engine experience as a writer, that would be an immense boost.
Yeah, like 80% of applicants are qualified enough to do the job is often the way we look at it as well. And sometimes it's just about stacking the deck in your favor. And if you're looking at, once there are 20% of candidates that you don't think has the skill set or the credits or whatever it is, but you're looking at the other 80%, they're competent, they're going to do it. And one of them is able to say, I've developed in the engine you're working in before. Oh, thank God. Like that's shorter onboarding. That means they can start working here, like actually start sooner than otherwise. I've done non-linear narrative where I've written before, or I've sold something before, or I have a demo of like anything you could do to bolster not your CV, but your demo or whatever it is. You can
absolutely. And I can use Ace as an example here. Actually, we were talking about him earlier. He when he was applying for us, he did really short. Like it was a 5-minute Unreal Engine 5 quest. No, Unreal Engine 4 at that point. Sorry. He started in a cave with Loki. I think with Loki and Sigyn.
Yep.
His wife is like Norse mythology. and Sigyn gives you a quest, and he just got someone he knows to do a voice, and it was just a tiny little bit of story, and he was just showcasing his ability to implement storytelling, like flags, triggers, the ability to write things that are short enough. The biggest talent you need in video game writing is to make things short. A dialogue that's 4 lines is a long dialogue.
Yeah, that's forever. That's a lifetime. Yes. My biggest criticism of games that I play is usually that the lines are too long, or that I'm like, I want to get to the meat. I want it to be fast and pulpy. I'd also say like when I got hired, it was on the back of a film I'd done, and I got 2 chats open. One's in the past, and one is present. And I see Grant mentioned, "Don't wait for permission or authority. Go make something." He's absolutely correct. Like in that case, I was new, and I like they took a risk on me, but also I'd done that short film about D&D, and that sort of showed a little bit of competence, I think, to get you in the door, which is often what you need. You need a little wow factor. When we were talking about Victor, the composer's application, the application was a screen recording of Weiss, which is like a live music engine to program music, and he could click on buttons, and it would change whether the player was walking around or in combat or sneaking. There was sneaking in the game back then. There isn't now, but you'd be able to click, and the music would transition without you noticing.
Yeah,
like without you hearing the gap. And that in and of itself, we're like, oh my god, we don't have to teach him any of these things. He can teach himself. Thank God. He can teach us. Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
it made it easy to justify like getting a new person in. Do you know how much the game will cost? We have not revealed those figures yet.
Yeah.
So
we can say it's a AA price tag. Like it is not a full price game.
No.
It is not a $60 or $70 game.
No.
So.
But for more specific details, I'm assuming there will be another update at some point, or another post, and it'll be clear then.
Releasing this summer, better be soon.
Brisk marketing campaign, everybody. We're gonna be loud for a little bit, and then then you gotta go play. Seems like we were powered on belief for a long time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Friends, family, and fools. I like to think we were the fools as well.
Oh yeah.
Do we lose any team members to attrition in those early days?
Nope.
No, we were very solid. No.
Nobody quit the company until it was a 38-person company.
Yeah.
That was from 2017 to 2022. Nobody quit.
Wild.
And since then, it's been more of a normal workplace. Like, people have come and worked on the project for a bit, and then they've gotten an offer to go to the Netherlands, or to go to work on something bigger. They've bounced upwards, and that's been a joy as well. Like,
one person was able to start their own company as well, and started their own project.
Yeah. Got a trailer that blew up.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
But no, in those early days, we were, and to a degree we still are, but especially in those early days, we were a unit. We were we were soldiers in the trenches. We were gonna do this game, and that is kind of the insanity you have to have, I think, in order to get projects like this started. You have to be ready to roll that boulder. Yeah.
No, I mean, we had people working part-time jobs alongside this full-time job, because this full-time job paid no money.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we got some money, we just had to start prioritizing, like, who gets paid money. The people that need it more, the people whose families live in other parts of the country and they can't live with their families here.
My family is in a different town, so I was one of the first people to get paid, because I had a little bit of rent that I had to pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of
And to be
Jana's in
clear,
chat, hi Jana.
I should clarify, we did get compensated in shares instead. This is all back in the day, and I need to say that because technically working for free in that way would be completely illegal.
Yes. Yeah, no. We didn't break the law. Cricket Hill, great to catch the stream. Congrats on the reveal. The game looks great. Thank you. Cricket Hill is going to split up their question. Lulo asks about the 180-degree rule. Listen, you had to go to film school. It's complicated. Actually, I think a good demonstration of the 180-degree rule right now is that we're breaking it. See, when Magnus looks at me on the camera, he's looking sort of frame right or whatever, and I'm looking frame left. And if I looked like that, it would look like I'm looking at him. But I'm looking like this. Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
I'm not looking at the stream, so I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Oh god, I scrolled and I've lost. Hang on.
We were at Lulo with the crying face emoji. If you find the crying face emoji, you found it.
How's the work-life balance been at the studio, especially if you've gotten closer to release? Hey, this is from Sintri.
That's yeah.
It's the original owner of the 3D printer from the 3D printing video 2 weeks ago.
That is correct.
We've been trying to be good about work-life balance. Obviously, it's been tougher now because the pressure's really on. But that was always one of our goals with the studio, is to make sure that we're. Oh my God! Somebody just gifted like 1 million subs. Oh, it's Zero. Zero, thank you so much.
Oh my God! Thank you so much.
Oh my God. Yeah, we always place great stock in trying to make sure that we could do it like a normal job as much as we could. Like, we needed to have the sort of insanity to believe in the project, but we also needed to make sure that it was a marathon, not a sprint. At the moment, the marathon has ended in a bit of a sprint, if I'm being a little honest. But
do not apologize, Zero. Thank you. It's very generous.
Thank you, Zero. Wow, and there's still. Oh my God.
Yeah. Cricket Hill's question was broken up into
two parts.
Do
you want to ask?
Yeah, sure. I was wondering how you separate being a DM and being a writer. I think D&D is very fruitful for training storytelling muscles, but it is still a different medium. And I feel like in Hollywood, TV, etc., many shows feel very much like D&D nowadays, which oftentimes doesn't work for the medium. I'm looking at Game of Thrones. I have a specific Game of Thrones example where I agree completely.
Oh, go ahead.
It's the Beyond the Wall episode where the gang of gruff dudes.
That would have been a good D&D session.
Yeah, they go on a quest north of the wall and a D&D session, and they fight a boss, and it's really not a good episode.
No, bad TV.
Yeah.
Bad TV. I think they're related. Like, understanding story and what's interesting about story, I think, is a universal thing to being a human. Like, I think that's a transferable skill into like marketing and pitching and teaching. Like, just telling stories is kind of essential to all those things. But the specific skill set of being a screenwriter and writing narrative in terms of scenes and who wins the scene, what's the scene about, those things have to be about something. Scenes have to be about something to some degree. And in RPGs, they really don't. You can just have nothing happen. You could just, what is tonight about? There were some goblins, like, and that's fun. What happens in this moment? Very little. Like, or is there a dramatic question of whether or not at the end of the campaign will the players kill Strahd? Almost certainly. Some of them might die, and that might be dramatic, and maybe they'll fail, but
I would also say your job connects to DMing in more ways than just writing. Like, firstly, in terms of writing, your job is kind of just the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like, you you do a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Like scene building is a big part of your job.
Yeah.
Both in script, on set, in engine. Like scene, you do the scene building pretty much the whole way through. And I think on set you are gaining a lot from your experience in DM. You just your what your latest video, DM like a director.
Yep.
Like I related a lot to the experience of working with you on set, to watching that video, to playing D&D with you.
Oh, funny. Yeah.
Because it's not just the writing that it relates to. In some ways, I'd say I probably get more connection to writing versus the amount of versus the fact that I mostly play D&D. Like I DM one campaign, but I tend to prefer playing. And I think in many ways that is a more transferable thing, because as a player, I'm largely just thinking about dialogue.
Yeah.
I'm not,
which is a lot of what you do when you're writing. Like the game dialogue is all you. Yeah. Like as an example of this, when I did the most writing I did on the game was after we had a story outline, a very rough story outline. The first job I had then, after that had happened, was go into the story outline and tell us which scenes have to be cutscenes.
Yeah.
And I went and highlighted, some sections, and I was like, this has to be a cutscene, this has to be a cutscene, this has to be a cutscene. And then I had to tell you why. I had to say, okay, this sentence, it starts here, this is the dramatic question, this is where we are, this is where we're going to go, beginning, middle, end, and set the stage, like render the scene, right? And then sort of pitch it. And then a lot of the times I'd write the first draft, and then by the time we're filming it, it's all your dialogue, because that's your job, and you're really good at that. It's funny because I was saying on stream the other day, or in a video or something, that I remember that when we started, that was the bit you were less comfortable with. You were anxious about dialogue. Now I wouldn't dare touch your dialogue. You'd come after me. You come running downstairs in the office, look in your face. Yeah. Trek, hey Trek, how you doing? Have you considered running a TTRPG game inside the video games world? Yes, many times. We were this close to filming an actual play once. We'd done all the setup for it, and we ended up not having time. We were about to go into a very stressful period of work, and we sort of dropped it. But we have numerous times tried or been about to, or we made a character sheet for Ren at one point.
Yes, we did.
But we never got around to it. Yeah. Except for that session you talked about at the start.
Yes, I also thought about. I also got very close to running some back in the day, like 2019. I was very close to running Song of Ice and Fire role play session or campaign, even set in some other part of the thing, just to develop a bit of history and stuff there. But
yeah,
it also didn't happen. So yeah,
one day.
Yeah,
one day. It's a typical RPG challenging-ish, but I've also added...
He clarifies a bit later, it was supposed to be, is it?
Is it a typical RPG challenging?
Yeah, is it like, it's the difficulty? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like God of War level.
Yeah. Speaking of Scott...
God of War.
Scott Buff is asking the games that inspired you when making the game. Yeah, like we talk about God of War a lot. I relate a lot to like Last of Us and Uncharted, those kinds of cinematic narrative adventure games.
Absolutely. God, there were quite a few games that we just really like the whole starting point for this is looking at games like Tomb Raider and Uncharted and God of War and thinking these games are so freaking expensive and it takes so long to make that if we can make a game like this at a scale that is like closer to what we are, that could be something.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of vindication seeing that Hellblade managed it with a small team, and they managed to make a really cool game just based off of that. And
absolutely,
that was hugely vindicating. There's also I talk a lot about getting inspiration from strange places that people might not think of, and I remember there was a period when we all played Oxenfree, and we were fascinated by the dialogue system there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant writing.
Yes, really, really good writing. Blade Runner asks, what inspired the protagonist design? Altis. We had an open casting call. We had no idea who was gonna play the main character, and she blew our socks off, and we were like, okay, we gotta make her into a protagonist.
Yep. Very much so.
Hey, it's John.
Yeah.
Hello, sunshine. That's what he sounds like. That's what he sounds like. It's my John. Do you have a Steam link? Yeah, I posted it. Oh, hang on. Maroskull.
Yeah.
Is there any other media that most inspires work done on this? I remember in COVID that you and I met up outside our local Domino's Pizza, and and we hadn't spoken in ages in person, and they were relaxing the restrictions or whatever, and you had just made me listen to Hamilton.
Yes.
And I said that what I found fascinating about Hamilton is how everything in that entire musical is about the theme.
Yes.
And I discovered that we were making this game and we had all these cool ideas, but they weren't all pointing at the central idea. And we needed to find ways to sort of bring things in so that it's all about ambition, wait for it, or shoot your shot. You know, it's a dramatic question, which is he gonna do? Hamilton's really good at that. It's one of those sort of examples. You're not always inspired by the things you might think of, like.
No. God, I'm trying to think as well. I mean, just the straight up, like we're raised on fantasy, like we grow up on Lord of the Rings. It's hard to avoid being inspired by something like Lord of the Rings.
I remember, like, I'm young enough that I was not able to see Lord of the Rings in the theater, which sometimes scares people who are over 30. You. But I remember being a kid, and we bought the full extended edition box set. And my mom wanted to show me Lord of the Rings, and so me, my dad, and my mom, we sat down, and she would pick out one disc, and like the first one, she not a random.
She wouldn't pick at random.
No. She'd go in order, but one disc a night is the is the point. That and then we watch 90 minutes of Lord of the Rings, and for a week, I lived in Lord of the Rings land for 90 minutes after dinner. That was fascinating. I think that's both my love of filmmaking, my love of fantasy, my love of D&D, and this kind of storytelling. It all draws its way back to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, I don't know. Just I've always loved dialogue. Just good dialogue, wherever it comes from, is inspirational. Like I remember watching 12 Angry Men, and there's nothing about the story that is similar to 12 Angry Men in any way, but just experiencing that, a movie that manages to keep you captivated just by being back and forth dialogue for 90 minutes. Yeah. That absolutely inspired me to some extent.
Yeah, I stole a West Wing line of dialogue that I think is still in the game.
And you keep getting compliments on it.
I know people are like that. You know, that's a good line. And I'm like, I stole it.
Yeah.
Carl
okay,
asks
the rest will have an Easter egg.
that. Yes, it's true. Carl asks, "What possessed you to start from currency?" I don't know. We were writing like bad guy banter, and I needed to reference something, and they were talking about going to the pub or whatever, and I was like, what did they pay with? So obviously we stopped writing the scene that was going to play in the background of that one section, and instead built a currency system.
Basically, I think what you're saying there is you haven't changed one bit,
No.
and your answer to Grant's question earlier was a lie, because this is just how you've built up Orthon as well. Like, it is
Yeah.
one question needs an answer, so you... Well, I guess I'm spending an hour making a currency system now.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's how it works. I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of having such a strong NDA? I don't get why you wouldn't want to get folks hyped sooner. This is fairly standard practice for like publishers of this size, and it usually just has to do with the fact that they want to be able to construct the go-to-market strategy, they call it, and that involves that involves just having sort of a direct line of how to tell the story of this game in a way that everybody oh, my camera popped in and out. Having a direct line of how to tell the story in a way that everybody can follow from start to finish, instead of having the bits in the wrong order. That's usually what it's about.
Yeah. It's also I guess I'm proving my cynical qualifications, because ultimately, like, with a project like ours, it's unproven.
Yeah.
And as soon as you announce something, you've kind of you've put your foot down, right? You've said this is happening. And if they'd been in a position where, you know, they took a bet that we are incredibly thankful to them for, because when Deep Silver decided to finance us, there were 16 of us, and we at that point still had not hired a single person with video game making experience.
Yeah.
And frankly, just the NDA was a low price to pay for that as well, because it would have sucked for them to have to announce something like that, to make a bet like that, and then have to cancel it publicly. So
no skin off our back, basically.
no, basically, yeah.
Cookie Dude, welcome to the show. Do you think a computer science degree is necessary for game development, specifically programming? I don't know.
Depends on the type of programming you're talking about. For just systems programming, necessary is a big word. Experience is probably going to trump it, but it is a foot in the door. It is a foot in the door, unlike basically anything else you can find, and you'd have to get really lucky to start building a chain of experience without that.
Yeah. I think it's also a fairly good answer in terms of any degree in this field. Like, the experience would trump it, but the amount of experience you need is a fair bit to be able to. Hjalti is asking, hi Hjalti, how do you manage feelings of ownership in dealing with changes to the product? Better now than we used to. Like, you know, every now and again stuff changes, and it can be hurtful. You know, if you're somebody who feels pride over what you've done, it can be discouraging. But that's that sort of experience coming in, where you eventually have to just put it behind you and know that what you're doing is for, you know, the sake of the team and for the sake of everybody else. And knowing that other people are also making that sacrifice when you ask them to change something for whatever it is you need to get done, like whatever change you need.
Yep, I think that's a good answer.
What do you think is the heart, so to speak? Sorry.
No, I was reading the same thing.
The cornerstone from which to begin building the story, the characters, the world. We tried all of those things at one point or another.
Yes.
In the end, it's the game.
I think they can all work.
Yeah.
Personally. For us, it is definitely the characters.
Yeah. We did several versions where we started and then always had to circle back to the characters, and in this case we just had, let's put everything else on standby and figure out how do we do the characters justice.
And I think, like, because I think you can look at that in a few ways based on the kind of project you're doing, right? And for an RPG, for a game that is about your abilities as a character, for a game that is about progression, not just in terms of story, but in terms of character, you need that character to be the base.
Yeah.
And everything else needs to complement the character's journey and the player's journey through the character.
Yeah.
For if you were doing a strategy game, like if you were doing a Total War, Warhammer game, something like that, it would be World.
Yeah.
And
if you got a map game, you need the map.
Yeah.
I think it's also essential that you give yourself permission to realize that you may be wrong and start again.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how often we had to, and it's brutal. Like, it really is brutal. There's no two ways about it. But if in the end you end up with something better, then it's worth it. Like, and sometimes you think you're making one kind of game, so you need one kind of start, and then you discover, no, you need the other kind of start, and there really isn't much you can do to sort of upend things without really just upending it.
Absolutely.
That's what makes these kinds of things a labor of love. It's incredibly difficult to do this kind of to make a thing just in general. Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate that.
Now we're scrolling through the gift subs.
Yeah. Yeah, Lulo, good job. You got there. That's the 180-degree rule. The character looks at each other. You draw a line from the tip of the nose of the two characters talking, and the camera stays on one side of that 180 line between them. That's the answer I should have given you earlier instead of trying to be funny and failing. Hati asks, what's Echoes of the End? Hello, this is the Q&A stream. This is the 90-minute reminder of what it is that we're doing. This is the Q&A stream for a video game that I, Daði, am developing along with several other people, including Magnus over here. And we just announced the trailer on Future Game Show Summer Showcase. And you can go watch that right now on wherever you find your trailers. But if you want to find the coolest one, you go to the Myrkur Games YouTube channel and watch it there. Thanks, Maddie. There's a lot of scrolling. I apologize. Do you think that making D&D have more specific scenes, like scenes with an actual objectives, makes it more fun? How do you do it? I've been meaning to make there are blank types of roleplay, of social encounters, or whatever the 5e calls that pillar. But yeah, you can do that. You can do scenes that are dialogue scenes and they have an actual objective. And what you have to do is you have to think of the characters in opposition to each other. And one person wants something, the other person has it, and they have to negotiate. And how do they meet in the middle? Negotiating is, how do I give you what you want without me sacrificing what I need to get through this, right? Anything you want to add on that?
No. I think it's a good answer. And people aren't here to ask me about D&D things, Daði.
Oh, I'm sorry. But you're so good at DMing. People have to know.
Thank you. That's very, very nice of you. And I'd like you to be clear that you're not being sarcastic.
I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not.
Thank you. You just sound a little sarcastic.
I'm not.
That's all
I'm sorry. I'm reading the comment.
Oh, come on. We're spending this whole stream talking about how I'm a cynical, insecure artist. And
That's
I think
true.
I'm gonna
Let this one
stop at any
pass.
point.
You've been running. I've talked about it a few times in the past. Been playing in a game called Odyssey of the Dragonlords, which is your game that you're running.
Absolutely.
And we just got to session 62 or something of that. That's like second year of that game.
We're nearly done.
Nearly done. What's one skill that you did not know you needed but ended up helping you the most?
That is a good question. I have an answer to that.
Yeah, go on.
Implementing stuff in engine.
Oh yeah.
Like genuinely being able to, like, Ace literally had to just do a teaching day with me and a few others, and he just taught us how to put stuff in engine. And being able to write, implement, and test in the space of minutes was the biggest game changer in my career.
Yeah. If you're working on a game with a small team, and if you're able to do it yourself, that means you don't have to barter with anybody about what they want to do, right? If you involve anybody in your creative process ever, they're gonna have their own idea, right? And they're gonna have their own opinion about how to do things. And a lot of times that's correct. You should let them do that, right? I'm not saying don't, but if you want to get your stuff in the way you see it in your head, best way to do that is by literally doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm lost again. Scroll.
I would also say for you, a talent that's come in remarkably handy in so many aspects of what you do is just your ability at video editing.
Oh yeah.
That might be your most single-handedly your most life-changing skill.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't work as an editor, but I do, but I don't. Like it's not in my job description anywhere. Like my job is to direct actors and put things into Unreal Sequencer, but that's editing. And then this trailer I had to put together in Premiere and edit. And not alone. We had a team working on this, obviously. But and same with the YouTube channel. Like I'm talking about D&D with you folks, but I also have to go edit those things at the end. And I'm quite fast at it, which has been a boon, but also means that people will go like, you could edit some more things, couldn't you? You're very fast. Yeah. Yes.
It's genuinely to the point. If someone were to ask me, just what is one skill I could pick up in general in life, just from having known you for as long as I have, I might just say video editing, because I think in today's world it opens a lot of doors.
Yeah. So. If you want to get started with video editing, go watch that Freddie W thing where he sets up the shortcuts on the keyboard. I genuinely think it's the best introduction to video editing that you can get. Like Freddie W keyboard shortcuts or something on YouTube. You should be able to find that. Do you know if the game will be supported for Steam Deck? I don't know. I don't know what Steam Deck is.
I have no clue.
Anna says, you're a lovely DM, Magnus. You don't kill her wives.
Do you?
Do I kill Anna's wives? Anna brings wives. She's got a wife for every game. Oh, I haven't killed any of her wives, but I have killed many of her girlfriends.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
True.
You just gotta marry them, and then they're fine.
Back to the Steam Deck. We don't know, straight up.
No.
That is the sort of thing that us story boys just aren't quite sure of.
It's on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox. The Xbox, the new one.
Series XS.
right? That's it. If that normally means Steam Deck, then maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Zero asked the question first in the wrong language, but now in English. Was the story crafted first and then the levels, or the other way around? We did levels first and then story first, and then levels first and then story first. By the end, it was an outline of levels with story beats in them, and it was very bare bones at the same time. Just this one outline that was very thin on the ground, and then we built up both simultaneously. And we'd go to meetings with the level designers and narrative guys, and we'd just talk, and we'd try and get to a consensus on what that level is about, what that chapter is. The game is, this I'm allowed to say, the game is split into 10 chapters, and each chapter is like a different zone or area, and each environment or whatever has a different mechanic to it. So it's sort of this revolving door of mechanics. And as you're playing through the game, there's always new puzzle elements coming along and new environments coming along, and it's meant to like hold you to the screen, because so many games that we play these days, we end up playing through the first half, or in my experience, I end up playing through the first half of it, and then I sort of slowly stop. Over the course of I'll play once every night, and then I'll play once a week, and then maybe once a month, and then I'm no longer playing the game. So we wanted to get to a point where we could constantly be introducing new and fun things to the player, and that meant that we sort of developed it in these chapters. And each chapter is a level and a narrative, and they need to both be holding hand in hand. And sometimes we discovered that the narrative here wasn't like in line with the levels, or the levels weren't in line with the narrative, so one or the other had to change. And the more we did at the same time, the better it got. I remember when we were getting to the sort of last of these meetings, we'd gotten really good at having both in mind at the same time and having them land at the same time, and that's when our best work happened, I think. When's the tentative release date? This summer.
Yes. Jan Giesenberg also complimented you on your impression of them.
I was doing my coworker John. But that's fun. I from now on, when you're in chat, Jan, I'll imagine you sounding like John, and then we'll be closer. How do you approach how you name your characters? Anything specific that inspired you?
Yeah, I can actually answer this.
Yep.
Because we'd named most of them before you joined. No, that's not quite true. We'd named Rin before you joined.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Abram, you did Abram's last name.
Yeah. Finley.
Yeah. But I can say for Rin, it was we had a handful of meetings back then, like just creative sort of joining together meetings. We'd throw ideas at the wall. And the thing we kept coming back to was Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars was our big reference for names, because Star Wars is really good at coming up with short and just easily memorable names. Luke, Han, Rey, Leia, like they're all just, they just hit and they just land, and there's no complexity to them. Even something like Kylo Ren or Obi-Wan, they're just simple sounds. Something about them is so inherently rememberable. So that was kind of the test we used to do, is we were like, well, could we imagine Star Wars naming a character like this?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we wound up with Rin.
That's good advice. If you have a really, I don't know how often I've had some character with a really elaborate name, and people don't call him that. They call him something else. Did not know you were the team behind this. Well, yeah, you should. Now you know.
Hell yeah.
Anna has a harem. No, these are separate separate wives from separate campaigns. We play many campaigns.
Yeah.
Runar says it's been cool seeing the game evolve over the years. Oh, you must have been a subscriber on the Myrkur channel then for a while. We've been uploading there for a long time. Huge respect to the team for sharing the journey on YouTube, as well as having big goals and not settling but making decisions that improve the game. Yeah, especially if you've been watching those videos, you'd see that there are plenty of instances where we just start over. Like there was a video called like Combat Redesign or something where there's a very frank interview with Tumi where he just goes, combat didn't work, so we're starting again. And that's sometimes what you need to do.
Yep, absolutely.
John asks, who's your favorite coworker?
But before you answer,
you're there, right?
No. I need you to know I've received the message since that question was asked, being told that they also need an answer to this question by another one of our coworkers.
Okay.
And that one happens to be one of the founders of the company, so maybe we should,
Oh yeah, my favorite coworker is Friedrich. He's so.
It's
Daniel.
Founder.
Oh, Daniel. Yeah, it's Daniel. Daniel, the way Daniel walks up to my desk every day at about 2 p.m. and gives me a fist bump and say the day can now begin, as if the previous hours did not count, and then he struts away like a king, and I'm left there befuddled. And sometimes on Fridays he'll give me the fist bump, and I'll be like, "Here we go," and he goes, "Now the week can begin," and then he walks off. Absolutely my favorite coworker. Anyway, Ace, he says there's only one correct answer to that question.
Look, we are blessed with some incredible coworkers.
Good answer. Very political.
Yeah. And some of the best are here in the chat right now. Frankly, Ace here in the chat is probably the man I work with the most at the company.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've moved to separate floors.
That's true.
And it is an absolute delight. So, gotta say that. But John, obviously, if there's any person that could beat me up at the company, it is John. So I'd better say John. Really.
John's the best. Yeah. Also, he gives me cigars when we celebrate, so that's also nice.
Also, just to hop a little ahead, but Sharon, my wife, just asked, 55 people watching, are 38 of them Myrkur employees? and one is my wife, so...
Art, that's, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the overall time to complete the story? Have we set that somewhere?
I don't think we have. I don't think so. I think we can safely say, like, it is, as we said before, it's a AA game with a AA price tag and a AA experience. So don't expect a 100-hour game.
It is not that long.
It is nowhere near that.
I don't know. I'll go Google some news media real quick and see if there's a definitive answer. What's the next question?
Well, there is... We actually skipped over one.
Ooh.
Why does this game look so gorgeous?
Oh, we have an incredible team of environment and character artists.
We do.
They do photo scanning, and they also do hand modeling, and you would be surprised that there are many instances where I do not know which is which, and there are characters in the game that are photo scanned and characters that are modeled, and you would not be able to tell at an instance, and some of them are a bit of both. The other thing is we're also using like the most advanced like Unreal stuff, so it's Nanite and Lumen and all of those sort of technical qualifications. We spend a lot of time on lighting. The amount of times where we notice a model that looks good when the artists are done and then bad when we put it in engine it's usually because we haven't lit it properly. So we end up spending a bit more time on that, and then we discover that that is often what's up.
I actually think lighting is the aspect of that always surprises me the most.
Yeah.
Lighting it makes such a huge difference, and we are very deliberate about lighting.
Spent ages on it.
Yeah. So then it would be...
Anna says she will gather a harem.
What is AB playing and is she winning? Asks Ace.
Oh, she just won a game of Magic right now. So Ace is asking what you're playing.
Oh no.
Arena. Hang on. If I. Oh, there, okay.
Yeah.
Anna, your next character goal: a wife in every town, a girlfriend in every village. You know.
Yeah. Then we have again. How long is the main campaign? How long to 100%? We can't give a definitive answer on that yet, unless Daði has found otherwise.
I've not found otherwise. I'll go ask the boss, and I'll see what he says. And if he gets back to me, then I'll tell you.
All right. Then Zero asks, were there many things left out that you would have liked to include? And can you mention any? We're only thinking about the second part of that question, because the first part, yes.
Yeah.
Like, definitely. Like, we had to kill our darlings much as anyone did.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's any that I'm all right to talk about.
No. I think like the kind of, there were things we had to shift from being part of the game to being part of the world.
Yeah.
Which was difficult because it's fun to like, there are parts of the setting that still exist but we won't go to in this game. And without going into too much detail about those, I think that is probably the thing I wish we could have done. But just the production reality of being a team this size makes it, if you don't scope, you don't make a game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Natalie Walker says, not a 100-hour game. It's in the realm of I can complete it before my ADHD kicks in. Yes. The goal of the whole structure of the way this game is meant to be that you can complete it before your ADHD kicks in. If you've got ADHD, this game is going to be for you. There's going to be new things and new stuff, and it's going to be short enough in between the new stuff that you're gonna have a blast, and then it's going to be over. And then you're gonna have a brilliant time while you're playing, but you're gonna finish it. We wanted to make a game you could finish. That was something we talked about a lot, because we discovered that we were playing games all the time and we weren't finishing them. Will the game run on my potato PC? I think you need a fairly beefy PC. The specs are on the Steam page. It says that the recommended graphics card is a GTX 970 or a Radeon 580. You need 8 gigabytes of RAM. That's the minimum. The recommended is an RTX 3070 and a 16 gig RAM. You need a gaming PC or a PlayStation or Xbox.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Zero.
And I think that's just about us caught up.
Look at that.
Yeah.
We can fill a bit of air to see if the boss opens his Discord at 10 p.m. But otherwise, should I build a new PC with a 5090 for this game? I mean, if you can build a PC with a 5090, you know.
I don't know what a 5090 is.
It's like a $3,000 graphics card or something. It's like ruinously expensive.
Right. So this is a question of, can I use this as a justification to spend money on a super nice PC?
Hell yeah. Is it going to be on Game Pass? We are not able to answer that question. I just don't have the answer, I'll be honest. Have you tried speedrunning this game? I cannot wait to watch a video where somebody finds a hole somewhere and suddenly the game is over. I don't think you can, but I've been told that is something fools say, and
Daði, I will be shocked. I would make a wager that if anyone decides to speedrun the game, like if there is actually any sort of community for it that forms, they will find the way to beat it in less than an hour.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Less than an hour. Did they count the cutscenes?
Yeah.
Or is it just like the trigger?
I'm about to say a thing and I don't know if I can say it. So.
Oh god. Looks like we're running out of the end of the NDA as well. Well, everybody, last chance to get your questions in before me and Magnus go prepare for Icelandic bedtime separately in our own houses. Him with his wife.
That is lying. He is not going to go to bed, but I probably am.
I'm a night owl. Thanks so much, Jan. Wow, I really appreciate that. No, I mostly play non-story games. Yeah, we're big map game guys. We play a lot of. You play a lot of like EU4.
Europa Universalis is by far my most played game.
Yeah.
RuneScape might be my most played game. Europa Universalis is my most played game on Steam, at least.
Okay. Yeah, we did. Me, AB, John, and Ace were in chat. We all did a CK match together. And presumably some people, I'm forgetting, Ivar, the flatmate, and you were in there for a bit before you gave up on us.
Yeah. Good question just came in from Runar.
Oh.
How's the game dev scene in Iceland? Could you get advice from locals?
There's a lovely community. IGE, in what's Icelandic game industry. Right, game developers. Yep. They sort of meet up every few weeks on like a local.
That's technically GMI. That's Game Makers Iceland.
Right.
Which used to be part of IGI, but then branched
separated
off to be able to do the focus on just the community thing from the political thing separately.
Oh right, yeah. There's like there's an advocacy group or whatever IGI, but then GMI is They go to pubs, they do game jams, they get like a projector and people show up with their games and everybody talks. And that was a lot of fun, but it was also incredibly helpful early on. You'd go downtown and just talk to people who were doing the same thing, and you'd learn a lot from them. And also just sort of getting to shoot the shit with people who are doing the same thing as you are is incredibly valuable, both like in game design, game making, but also like once I started YouTube, I've been able to talk to some dungeon tubers, and that sort of community kind of is essential for anything like this. And Game Makers Iceland has been
I also think, just culturally speaking, CCP is so huge.
Yeah.
And I think it did a lot to just legitimize the idea of video games as a business here over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Because CCP, like EVE Online, is an enormous thing on an Icelandic scale. Yeah. And just the fact that there is this example, this 25-year-old example. EVE Online is released in 2003.
Yeah.
And that example having been present all this time, just being a success has made investors and just the public, like our parents, would look at us making video games way differently if CCP didn't exist.
Yeah.
So I think in that way especially, just they did a lot to legitimize this whole business here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Iceland's such a small country in this way. Like it really takes that one thing to sort of make it a real job for the rest of us.
And in the last like 5, 6, 7 years, the amount of small indie game companies we've seen just popping up around the country is incredible as well. Like I know IGI does this breakdown occasionally, and just the speed at which the scene is growing here, and not just in terms of workforce, but just in terms of number of companies, number of projects. It is really cool. Yep. Like really, really cool.
All right. With that out of the way, I'm sad to say that I'm not got an answer on the runtime of the game, but I'm certain that if you are tuned to our socials or whatever, you will eventually get the answer, or it will be made public some other way. And I also wanted to say this is not what the channel is now. This is not the Myrkur Games channel. I just wanted to talk about the cool thing now that I can. And if you want to follow the game development of the game, you should go check out Myrkur Games on YouTube, and I'm aware that I'm saying Icelandic words, so I'll go get the channel link, and I'll put it in the chat. And I encourage you to go over there if you want to know more about the game, because on the Mystic Arts channel going forward, we're going to still be making D&D videos, and that's what this channel is. So if you wanna hear me talk about the company or explain how we scan a glacier, those are the 2 newest videos up on there, along with the trailer. And there's also a whole backlog of stuff from the entire development process, and you can see the various different games that we made along the way before we landed on this version of this game. Thank you so much for joining me, Magnus.
Absolutely. And I promise I'll stick around and make D&D things for you too.
Hey, fantastic. And I think that's where we're going to pick it up next time. I'm going to hop over to the main camera here. That's where we're going to pick it up next time. Thanks so much for watching this video. This channel is run by me and my girlfriend, and if you want to support us directly, go head on over to our Patreon, where we just did a whole bunch of dungeons last month, and we'll be doing something else this month. I'm sure me and Magnus are about to go figure it out in a little bit. Until next time, keep studying.